enduring charm of bridal fashion and inspiration from bygone eras. Get ready to discover the stories each of our dresses tell, and expect a few twists and turns along the way. You're all in for a real treat, so sit back and enjoy the show. Our very first gown is 142 years old. It was worn by Minnie Shoemaker when she became the bride of Samuel Garnes on August 16, 1883, at Chambersburg, Pennsylvania. Reverend Stuart Hartman officiated, possibly in his home or study. Minnie and Samuel were both school teachers, but at the age of 40, Samuel decided he wanted to enter the ministry and entered the seminary. At that time, his brother and his son were also in the seminary, so all three of them were in together. This burgundy velvet dress was styled with a fitted bodice accented by a double row of buttons down the front. The double skirt featured a drape in the back to form a bustle, and it's trimmed in brocade taffeta. Art and Cindy Garnes have loaned us the dress, and Sophia Murphy is modeling it. Samuel Garnes, the groom, is the great-grandfather of Art Garnes. Now we're going to travel forward in time and skip a few decades to 1943 in the same Garnes family. Garnes family, not Garn family. This is the wedding of Betty Jane Reese and Herbert Garnes Jr. This came with a few hiccups along the way. The church hall needed to be cleaned, so on Thanksgiving Day, the father of the bride and the future groom got together and got the church ready. The day before the wedding, Betty's sister, who was going to be her attendant, came down with chicken pox. But all in all, everything came together. Betty Jane Reese was married to Herbert Garnes on November 27, 1943, at St. Luke's Lutheran Church in Mansfield, Ohio. The bride wore a beaded princess-style gown of satin, buttoned down the back from the sweetheart neckline. The skirt ended in a chapel-length train. The sleeves were fitted to the wrist. The groom, in his second year of seminary, wore his black clerical garb. A traditional church reception followed in the freshly cleaned church hall. Today, her dress is being modeled by Adeline Yost, hopefully I said that right, and the Garnes family loaned us this dress as well. Another hiccup happened, though, the next morning. As the newlyweds were ready to board the bus to Pittsburgh to travel back to the seminary, the new Mrs. Garnes entered the bus, but when Herbert tried to board, he was told by the bus driver that the bus was full and he couldn't get on. Herbert had to explain the situation to the driver that he needed to be on this bus with his new bride of less than 24 hours and that he had to be back at the seminary on Monday morning. The bus driver gave in and agreed and let him on the bus. They have three sons together, Herbert, Arthur, and Bill. This is Art Garnes' father. A little more time travel to the year 1970. Cynthia Hilliard and Arthur Garnes were married on August 22, 1970, at St. Paul's Lutheran Church. Reverend Garnes, the groom's father, officiated with the groom's brother, Herbert Garnes III, assisting. The bride's wedding dress was made of silk organza with Venice lace and daisy trim. The Juliet-style gown had a detachable train trimmed with matching lace and daisies. The Garnes family has loaned us Cindy's dress, and it is being modeled today by Cadence Kiko. Cindy's father was a baker by trade, and he insisted that he bake the cake and transport it from Massachusetts, over 700 miles away. And we're getting laughs because we had a little hiccup with our wedding cake today, and it didn't go 700 miles. So after much discussion, he was convinced to change course and decided on shrimp cocktail for the reception instead. A much safer choice to transport. An open church reception was held following the ceremony, followed by a supper reception at the Tri-Delta Lodge. Art and Cindy Garnes met at Mount Union College, where the bride completed her studies in medical technology. And Art graduated from Mount Union and has been with the Alliance City Schools for over 30 years, most recently serving as a superintendent. He is currently the president of the Alliance City Council. Cindy and Art have two daughters, Rachel and Sarah. Thank you, girls. On a cool day, on February 24th, 1909, Ona Shoemaker was preparing to marry the man she loved, Job Scott. Job was a farmer whose farm was located at a place we are all familiar with, the former Carnation Mall and now home to the Meyer store. Ona's sister, Celeste Jane Shoemaker, made this three-piece dress for Ona to wear. It is grayish in color with pink details, linen, and satin. The most impressive part of this dress is that all the details on the dress were handmade. It has a decorative neckline with intricate embroidery, handmade lace, and tatted detail. Ona's great-great-great-granddaughter, Olga Keene, is here today carrying her grandmother's dress, which has been donated by the Shanks family. Ona and Job were married on February 24th, 1909, in Louisville, Ohio, by Reverend Fry, surrounded by a few friends and immediate family. The small family dinner was shared with their loved ones. They built their life on the farm and raised three children, Vernon and twins, Bernice and Berdine, and through the years sowed the seeds of a life filled with love and hard work hand in hand. The family's story continues with the next dress. On January 1st, 1935, Dorothy Devers, a radiant bride, married Vernon Scott, the son of Ona and Job, whose dress we just saw. They were married at the Beechwood Methodist Church. Friends and family, bundled in their winter finest, had gathered to witness the special New Year's Day union. A reception was held at the Beechwood Methodist Church for all to enjoy. Their love story blossomed in the years that followed. Their home was filled with the comforting sounds of family with the arrival of their four children, Marie Scott, Irene, Sarah, and Tom. Vernon was an employee of the Hoover Company in North Canton. Frida Runyon, the bride's great-granddaughter, is carrying her grandmother's dress. Her dress is a striking navy crushed velvet. It has a pronounced collar and belted cinched waist. There is an unusual cutout of detail down the length of the sleeves of the dress. And once again, the family story continues. On July 1st, 1955, in the heat of the summer, Marie Scott, the daughter of Vernon Scott and Dorothy Scott, and Edward Shanks exchanged vows at the Beechwood Methodist Church. The ceremony was made even more special by the presence of Marie's uncle, Forrest Carter, who had the honor of officiating. Marie's dress was a long-sleeved, white lacy wedding gown with a V-neck and layered skirt with intricate lace detailing and tulle, which adds volume and dimension to the skirt. It has 37 covered buttons. This wedding gown was donated by the Shanks family, and our model, Linda Keeler, is graciously modeling Marie's dress. A modest reception was held at the church immediately following the ceremony. Marie and Edward resided in Alliance, Ohio. Edward worked at the Canton Repository, and Marie was employed by the University of Mount Union for 33 years. They have three children, Carolyn, Edward Jr., and Rick. Now, our next dress has a tie to these three. When we were preparing for this show, and our bridal show coordinator was meeting with the families, listening to their stories, and looking at the photos that they had brought, another member of our Castle Crusaders came by and joined in the conversation. Barb Shoemaker. To Barb's amazement, she realized the names of the people in their photos were also relatives of her and her late husband, Gene Shoemaker. So after decades of not even knowing that each other family existed, this chance meeting just for this bridal show has brought these families together. Barb has even gathered her family together from across the country for this event and has turned it into an impromptu family reunion. Angela Villella married Marshall Ficini on June 12, 1937 at St. Joseph's Church, Catholic Church. They have 3 children, Barbara, Marcia, and James. Marcia is here today modeling her mother's exquisite wedding gown. This is a satin dress featuring long sleeves with fastened cuffs and a collared neckline. It is also adorned with a decorative brooch. The skirt flows smoothly from the waist down to a floor-length gown, then into a flowing long train. The reception that followed was a modest affair, with the couple receiving best wishes from their families and friends. The dress has been loaned to us by the Shoemaker, Tenret, and Ficini families, who have traveled long distances from Texas to Florida. I want to say California, to Florida, here to see their mother's dress and to meet their new relatives. And so after all these years, these dresses continue to tell stories. Thank you, ladies. So what does an English professor and home economics teacher have in common? Love. They not only had love for each other, but love for their family and community. Lyle Christ and Marilyn Turner were married on June 15, 1946 at the Christ United Methodist Church. Lyle went to Purdue University where he met Marilyn, a native of Chicago. They instantly knew they were meant for each other. Lyle taught English at Alliance High School and at Mount Union and wrote several books. He was instrumental in saving the Glamorgan Castle when the Alliance City Schools acquired the building. Marilyn taught home economics at State Street Junior High School, and in later years she took up ceramics and enjoyed displaying her pottery at local shows. Lyle and Marilyn have 2 daughters, Rachel and Jennifer. This dress evokes a sense of nostalgia and history. It is made of an overlay of lightweight sheer lace with a satin underskirt. There is intricate lace detailing in the bodice. It features a rounded neckline, short sleeves, and a defined waist with a gentle flared skirt. There are several lace-covered buttons adorning the front bodice, and Barbara is here today carrying Marilyn's wedding gown, and it has been loaned to us by Jennifer Christ, Marilyn's daughter. On May 22nd, 1947, at St. Joseph's Catholic Church, Lena Azaki entered the church with all of their friends and family present and started up the aisle towards her husband-to-be, Virgil Red Artino. Today, their daughter, Susie Dennis, is modeling her mother's dress. This dress was also featured in Modern Bride magazine. It is styled with a slightly fitted bodice that transitions into a looser flowing gown with long sleeves and covered buttons. It has a slightly ruffled neckline with extra fabric needing to be added to cover any cleavage that might show. This was 1947 after all. The fabric has a subtle floral pattern woven in the dress. Lena and Virgil had their first date at Peggy's restaurant, and the rest was history. After their May wedding ceremony, the newlyweds held a reception at the Christopher Columbus and honeymooned in Niagara Falls. Virgil was a well-known teacher in the Alliance City Schools, and Lena was a well-qualified seamstress. She She was instrumental in making the curtains here at the Glamorgan Castle. They had 4 children, Bob, Rick, Barbara, and Susie. Our next 2 dresses are a mother-daughter 2-for-1. This dress has unique history in that Jean Rudolph and her daughter Cindy, who is carrying and showing us their dress today, both wore it for their weddings. And on June 14th, 2024, this dress survived a total lost fire. The dress and various wedding photos were the only things that survived. The wedding gown features a full skirt, gathered at the waist, creating a voluminous effect. The bodice is fitted and is adorned with intricate detail. There is a fluffy, feathery, furry trim, say that 3 times fast, around the neckline, adding to its elegant character. Jean Madison married Bill Rudolph on September 28, 1947, at Christ United Methodist Church. The reception was held immediately following the ceremony at the church. Jean was a student at Mount Union, and Bill was in the U.S. Army serving our country during World War II. They wrote many letters to each other during their time apart. Jean taught most of her years at the Alliance Elementary Schools teaching kindergarten. Bill was employed at Rudolph's grocery store, Alliance Manufacturing, and then Ohio Edison. They have 2 daughters, Cindy and Shawnee.
Yeah.
I never would have got that. Cindy married Ron Knapp on December 20th, 1980 at the First Emmanuel United Church of Christ. Her reception was held immediately following the ceremony at the American Legion. Cindy and Ron met at Mount Union their junior year. Upon graduation, Ron went to grad school, and Cindy began teaching in Carrollton, where she taught for 30 years. Ron taught and coached at Waterloo Middle School for 35 years. They have 2 children, a son, Lee, and a daughter, Erica. Picture this. It's the day after Christmas, December 26, 1959. St. Joseph Catholic Church is filled with family and well-wishers awaiting the nuptials of Joan Cracknell and Fred Troutman. The waiting was almost longer than expected. As the song goes, "Get me to the church on time," almost didn't happen for Joan. As Joan and her father went downstairs to leave for the church, they discovered that everyone else had already left, and there were no cars at the Cracknell home for them to drive. Joan's father, ever the resourceful one, quickly called a taxi cab and did in fact get them to the church on time. There's a picture out in the rotunda showing Joan exiting the taxi cab. After their ceremony, the reception was held here at the Glamorgan Castle when it operated as the Elks Lodge. Joan's dress is modeled today by Maria Poja. Did I say that right? Thank you. And it's made with satin and long sleeves with a fitted bodice. The delicate embroidered detail features floral leaf-like patterns and a covered button back. The skirt is pleated, which creates a full and flowing effect. The dress was loaned to us by the Troutman family. Joan and Fred had 5 children: Barbara, Jackie, Fred, Brian, and Joan. 21 years and 1 day later, on December 27, 1980, Barbara wore her mother's dress for her wedding, which was held at St. Joseph's Catholic Church in Randolph, Ohio. Barbara married Terry Fox, who she originally met while attending Waterloo High School. They have 2 children and currently still reside in Randolph, Ohio. next story begins after a tour in Vietnam. Stephen Molnar and Janice Valentine were married on September 7, 1968 at Christ United Methodist Church. They later had two sons, Michael and Andy. Janice is dressed as a classic vintage A-line style with long sleeves and a fitted bodice made of delicate satin and Chantilly lace. It is modeled today by Genevieve Keeley and loaned to us by the Molnar family. The dress features delicate lace around the neckline with button-covered sleeves. There are also floral applique embellishments scattered on the skirt. Immediately following the ceremony, a reception was held in the church social hall. A second reception was held later that evening at the groom's parents' home. There was a swimming pool. There was some bridal party hijinks, and the groomsmen ended up in the pool. We can neither confirm nor deny that alcohol played any part in that. This next story isn't just about a wedding day, but it's about the unwavering partnership that has endured through the decades that followed. Connie Murphy and Oral Brown were married in Alliance, Ohio on September 15, 1969. Her dress is worn and modeled by Connie's great niece, Jordan Kress. This off-white dress features long sleeves with lace details across the bodice and flows into a full layered skirt. The lace details are intricate and delicate. The skirt has multiple tiers of ruffles with lace trim. A lively, intimate reception was held at the bride's home with family and friends celebrating, and of course there was wedding cake. After long careers in the Alliance area, they have moved south and now make Florida their home. On September 19, 1970, Peggy Stubbins and Craig Molnar exchanged vows at the First Church of Christ, beginning their story as husband and wife. Following the heartfelt service, a reception was held at the American Legion Hall with family and friends all celebrating this joyous occasion and marking the beginning of their new life together. Peggy's dress is made of organza and Chantilly lace with an empire bodice with a cameo neckline. This long-sleeved organza silk dress has a subtle sheen and drapes smoothly. A detachable train complements the dress, and the train is easily removed to be carried after the ceremony. The floral three-dimensional appliques add to the texture and interest of the skirt. Cindy Molnar is modeling her sister-in-law's dress today. Peggy and Craig still live in Alliance. They have a son named Tony. Peggy was employed by Mount Union College, and Craig is the owner of Craig's Auto Service. On August 5th, 1972, the Sebring Church of Christ opened its doors to celebrate the marriage of Susan Betts and Larry Brubaker. The church was filled with family and friends with their faces beaming with happiness for the young couple. Susan wore a gown of satin and Denise lace, designed with a high neckline and empire waist with Juliet sleeves. Her A-line skirt flowered into a chapel train, as you can see by Tiffany Hoja, who's modeling the dress. The new Mrs. Brubaker was employed by the W.T. Grant Company, and Mr. Brubaker had just finished at the Career Academy of Radio Broadcasters. They had one child, Heather, who is graciously let us use her mother's dress. The reception that followed was held at the home of the bridegroom's parents, which was full of love, laughter, and heartfelt speeches. Holly Haydu and Kenneth Cooper's story, like many beautiful ones, began unexpectedly on a blind date. A relationship developed, love blossomed, and Kenneth proposed to Holly. On June 30th, 1978, with the sun shining brightly, they were married at the Girard United Methodist Church, with the church reception immediately following the ceremony. Holly's dress is a soft flowing material of chiffon and tulle and is A-line in shape. It features long lace sleeves and a lace bodice. The bodice has delicate floral patterns and a rounded neckline. The long sheer veil with lace trim adds to the overall romantic bridal aesthetic. They raised 3 wonderful children, Morgan, Casey, and Clay. Holly is a dietitian and Kenneth is an engineer for ODOT. Morgan Bagley, their daughter, has kindly loaned us her mother's dress for all to see, and Sydney Peterson is modeling this dress. Next, we have Angela Barnhouse, the great-great-granddaughter-in-law of Colonel William Henry Morgan, the builder of Glamorgan Castle. Angela is here today wearing her white wedding dress with delicate lace and beading that adorn the bodice and along the edges of the hemline. Her dress has a slightly off-the-shoulder neckline with a flowing skirt, with the beading continuing down the back through the train of the dress. Angela Stearns married Joseph Barnhouse on September 28, 2013, at their farm in Homeworth, Ohio. Their ceremony took place in a beautiful meadow on their property. Many family and friends gathered to celebrate. They even had the family pet cow, Bella, who was wandering about the property looking on. The reception immediately followed in their barn arena. Now, neither Angela or Joe are huge fans of cake, so after cutting the obligatory cake pictures, they all settled in for pie from the pie wagon. Joe and Angela have 3 children, Josie, Vivian, and Maverick, and they still live on their farm enjoying farm life. Show them the boots. Rachel Rees-Starnes married Brian Baker on a perfect autumn day on October 19, 2024. Their ceremony was held right here at the magnificent Glamorgan Castle in this very room. Their wedding was not just a day, but the beginning of a beautiful new chapter. Rachel, who is modeling her own dress, was and is radiant in her gown. It is a floor-length wedding dress that flows into a lace-embellished train. The bodice features an overlay of lace with a V neckline. The skirt is simple and elegant with lace detail at the hem. A reception was held at the Alliance Country Club, where the guests celebrated the new Mr. and Mrs. Baker. Rachel is an administrator at Meadowwind Healthcare Center, and Brian is the fire chief of Homeworth Fire Department. He's an EMT, a farmer, and he also works township road crews. They have 3 children, Samuel, Reese, and Molly. If you remember when we started 142 years ago, it kind of feels like that. We had Minnie and Samuel Garnes, the great-grandparents of Art Garnes. We had Betty, Jean, and Herbert Garnes Jr., the parents of Art Garnes, and Cynthia Hilliard Garnes, Art's wife. And now with Rachel, Art Garnes is the father of the bride. Thank you. I now present to you our vintage bridal dresses. Adeline Yost. Fulvini. Frida run. Trying to keep them all in order. Linda Keeling. Marcia Tenret. Barb Ray. Susie Artino Dennis. Cindy Neff. Marie Hoja. Genevieve Keeling. Jordan Kress. Cindy Molnar. Tiffany Hoja. Sydney Peterson. Angela Barnhouse. Rachel Baker. I've been informed to hold you all hostage in here for a few moments, but I still have a few things to read, so they're trying to get a group photo of all the brides on the staircase. So as this all comes to a close, the showcase may be over, but the afternoon doesn't have to end. We would love for you to join us in the main dining room for some delicious treats and cakes, cookies, and mints. Beverages are being served in the ladies' parlor. After enjoying your refreshments, feel free to stroll around the building, and if it's not raining outside, you might even be able to walk around outside as well. As we wrap up our Vintage Bridal Show, we would like to extend to our guests our sincerest gratitude for your support and contributions to the Castle Crusaders in assisting us with our restoration efforts. We are incredibly fortunate to have such a supportive community. Thank you to all of our Castle Crusader volunteers for all their time and talents. And thank you to our models and everyone who loaned us their dresses and photos. Everyone's efforts here are truly, truly appreciated. Did that buy you enough time? No? Yeah. Halfway through to
I realized I never hit start on that.
Oh no.
Well, so hopefully Dan got some GoPro
He
stuff.
probably did. Probably did.
So I got it all set up and I never hit start.
How'd you have that sitting up there? How'd you do this?
I just wedged between those two, just like that.
Oh my.
So
Okay. Use whatever you can. That's the way it goes, man.
You did a good job.